Let's do it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Small Business Safari. We're rocking it. We were actually having a little bit too much fun. Listen to our intro music before this one. But just like with every episode, we got to start it off with cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Alan. And cheers to
Chris.
Cheers.
who do we have today? Oh, my gosh. It's Dr. David Adler. And that's the professional Dr. David Adler, the one who keeps my shit together. What? That's not what I meant.
So this is going to be a
meant
high class podcast.
This is high class podcast because he's a doc, dude. He's solid.
You just
more.
broke your microphone.
I did because I got so excited that I got my doc in the office. So no, so let's set it up a little bit. I met Doc a number of years ago, and he is a chiropractor here in the Atlanta area, but it's not just a chiropractor. Let's forget about that for a minute. He's actually a really solid business person and a really solid person. And I said, hey, man, would you be willing to come over to the podcast? He said, no.
Did you really?
And I was like, well, but it'll be so much fun.
He heard you were explicit.
Yeah. He goes, but Norcross is so far away because I live.
Does he live in Roswell?
Exactly. Well, his office is over in Roswell.
We've talked about that. 400s is semi-permeable membrane.
Yeah. So it's great, but he's here. Let me just intro him a little bit, and then we'll get into it. So originally from New York, not Kentucky.
He said down, West Virginia.
Yeah. So what I am interested in, so he came down to Life University, got a chiropractic degree, goes off and starts his chiropractic business. But what he does is he gives back to Life University a ton in terms of mentorship and helping other young chiropractors get established in business. And so from a business perspective, he is, while you might have called him a solopreneur because he is a healing practitioner, but he also runs a business. When he runs a business from a solopreneur perspective, that I think a lot of people are interested in because they want to know, can I really run a business and do what I'm doing? And so we're going to dive into all that stuff. But before we do that, Doc, before you got into chiropractic, what did you do before that?
Well, I was pretty lucky because I knew what I wanted to do when I was about 14. So my brother was a chiropractor. He helped my sister before they got married with a severe scoliosis. And then I watched it and developed it. And I was very much into music, and I still had the opportunity to play today in organized fashion. Don't get paid for it. Thank God. I would be starving to death. But I was fortunate to know what I wanted to do early. And so what I do before is just kind of focused all my energy on getting what I needed to get done to get into chiropractic college and get going.
So you left New York City, which, as all New Yorkers would say, is Mecca. So you never leave there. And you came to sleepy old Atlanta, Georgia when?
Hicksville.
Well, I grew up north of New York City. I was Rockland County. So that's about 30 miles north of New York City.
Okay.
But so it's very much like we are here where I grew up, very city, very country-like, very nice. So I got here September 86, I started. And then
86. So you came down to Life University, which is located where here in the Metro Atlanta area?
As the natives say, Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah.
Right off Cobb Parkway and 120.
So you fit in with your accent, I'm sure, when you first came down here.
Well, considering the volume of people from the north coming to the south to go to school, no, I was fine. Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. Our softball team, about 80% Jersey, New York.
Our softball team. So we identify as softball players.
Okay.
All right, good.
Yeah.
And you play trumpet.
Trumpet?
Do what? You mean he has fun too?
Yes.
Yeah. No, he's an accomplished musician, Chris.
He's
probably written a book.
Did you write a book yet?
An ebook count?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in.
Like
good.
4 pages.
So not only does he play an instrument, but he wrote an ebook, Alan. Do you feel less than?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he can play the trumpet. I've seen him. I have not seen him or heard him play trumpet. I've seen pictures of him doing that. But he also does something else. He takes photographs.
Yes.
He brought a camera into the studio.
I actually brought my camera and my horn in because I wasn't leaving it in the car.
Hey, this would be the first ever podcast where somebody plays a trumpet.
Oh my God.
Dude, I think we ought to do that.
That would be
Maybe
so
we
cool.
will.
All right, let's see how this goes.
We'll have to cut for a minute so I can warm up.
All right. Well, everybody.
I was going to say we could ply him with booze, but Doc doesn't drink.
No, his
But if I
his
start
body
playing,
truly
your
is a
listeners
temple.
will.
which is why I go. That's why I go see him, because I ruined my body and he tries to put me back together so I can keep ruining it.
You
The
just
listeners-
described Humpty Dumpty.
The listeners should have heard how hard Doc laughed when he saw your desk chair at in your office.
Yeah. So I should have not invited him over to my office, because here's what I get. I get to go into timeout, everybody, just like little kids. And he's going to take me into my office and tell me how I've screwed up my entire office and how I need to be resitting. So good news is I'm going to be fixed. Bad news is I'm going to go be put in timeout
Is this
again.
a good time to put a plug for my ergonomic business or no?
You can plug anything you want,
okay.
anytime you want.
Okay, good. No, during it's funny enough, we're kind of go ebb and flow here. During the pandemic, I actually probably did 45 to 50 Zoom ergonomics, because my patients were stuck at home and they had a laptop and they're sitting at their dining room table and they still had Amazon. So I said, order a big monitor. Let's change your setup, because you're going to kill yourself. It's just not okay. So it was kind of, out of all the stuff that we went through, there's some good stuff that came out of it as far as learning.
So people's general well-being is pretty seriously impacted from something as dumb as a fat wallet in your pocket, or
100%.
where your monitor is located.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, when we talk about misalignments in the spine, we're talking millimeters. So when you put a big old wallet that's sitting underneath your butt,
The Costanza wallet.
yeah,
one,
kind of, yeah. And it's almost like putting a small partial brick underneath your butt. If you ask your wives to go dancing with you and she wears a flip flop and a high heel, find out how she feels at the end of the night dancing. It's going to hurt her. It's going to be imbalanced. So no difference. There's subtle changes, and this old saying, as a twig is bent, so grows a tree. So how your body is and how your foundation is dictates the entire structure of the spine.
So what do you think about like the desks that go up and down so where you can stand, or people that use the big, I don't know what you call the big inflatable ball that you sit on instead of a chair?
I've probably written 36 letters of what's called DME, Durham Medical, which is, hey, you need this and the business should cover it, and send a letter of medical necessity, because we are sitting. They said sitting's a new smoking, right?
Yeah.
It's so bad for you.
I haven't heard that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's dropped that one on me before.
We're sitting and sitting and sitting. We're not designed to sit. We're designed to move. So I have a sitting desk in my office. Chris knows. I have a sitting desk, sitting and standing desk, and it's a hybrid, but it doesn't go up and down. My chair does. Or actually, my chair is elevated, so I'm like in a high chair, but it works the same. And it's about setting it up. And I actually just had a new patient who's very young lady, very thin, very fit, but her spine was literally frozen because the way she set up her desk. And she took a picture of it. And I said, you have a big monitor, but you're not using it, are you? She goes, no, it's off to the side. So she's sitting there 12 hours a day, hunching over essentially a monitor that's 14 inches. And she's rounding her back and she's stuck. So you got to keep moving. Everyone's sitting up straight in the room right now.
Yeah, Chris is working on his posture as we speak.
This episode is going to be titled "Sit Up Straight, Chris," because every time he talks, and I've seen him in meetings, and he starts talking about this, and I immediately start changing my posture. And everybody at my table would always call me, and I'm like, "You can't do that just for 5 minutes."
Up.
I'm like, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I'm going to go nerdy on you guys for just a second.
I like it.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. There was an article came out of Japan, I believe it is, that talked about posture and predicting early dementia. So the more forward head carry you have, the more you're hunched over and leaning forward, they're finding that it's equal to having neurological changes.
I am moving my microphone now.
Yeah, Chris is
Going way back.
there.
I'm going back because dementia is coming. I think it's already here.
I'm not really sure we could say that one for one, but
Really?
It's interesting to see that there's more and more research that's going on that's neurologically based. And you got to remember, the spine is just the protective coating to your spinal cord, and your cranium is the protective coating to your brain. There's a reason why we have bone around the most sensitive items in our body. So there wasn't a mistake there, and so we got to keep that spine healthy.
So there you go, Ellen. You get a chance.
Well, you're taking the backdoor approach because you're approaching your cranium from internally with the 32 tequila shots in Cabo.
It was just, they were small shots, Doc. Really small shots.
I'd be more concerned about the liver.
All right. That one's not going to make it either.
Okay.
It's going to be it's a horse race. Right now, I think we're trying to figure out who's going to come in first in terms of which one's going to take me out. I met a guy the other day. He says, you got to guess my age. Right. I'm like, okay, yeah. And we're a bunch of us in there. We're all guessing, and we're all guessing low. And of course, I guess the lowest, just you suck up.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm 79. He goes, That's a testimony. He goes, that's a testimony to good living. I said, yeah, I don't have that. I said, where's the beer at again? The guys, he looked at me, he just didn't even know what to do with that. I said, don't worry, big boy. We're all right. All right, Doc. So back to your business. So we probably, unless you want to talk more about health, because he can,
We can talk about that. Photography, trumpet playing,
or business.
or business.
Business is boring. But let's talk about this for a minute.
Who's the greatest
Well,
trumpet player you've seen live?
Wow.
The god of trumpet playing for every kid was Maynard Ferguson.
Yes,
Illinois.
I saw him live too.
Great stuff.
Oh, come on,
The
both of you guys
huge
did?
freaking cheeks.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's Dizzy Gillespie.
No. Well,
Oh,
Maynard
yeah,
had
okay.
cheeks too, but Dizzy had the huge ones.
I think
You guys both saw Maynard Ferguson.
I
Yeah.
did see Maynard Ferguson.
Where's in New Jersey? Were you there?
No, I was
Oh,
in Portland, Oregon.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a lot of people, a lot of mentors, but everyone's got their different style. There's some, looking back now, and some of my friends and some of my patients are musicians. Obviously, I didn't study that realm. I didn't go to music school. I haven't been playing for 32 years, but just like any other profession, your business, you have professionals doing it, and you become more humble when you realize, wow, like I can do well, but that's really good. And so I learned that, but I'm very happy that I didn't choose that route, but I get to still do it. Same thing as photography.
So let me ask you a question, because I already have what I think is the answer. When you went to Life University,
Now you sound like my wife. How am I going to pay?
you're
for that
wrong.
one?
You're
I-
wrong before you even say
I
anything.
will be asking you a question that you can only get wrong. Okay, please, Alan, continue.
Did they, and this is not a knock against them because I see it everywhere, did they teach you anything about business
In school,
in
Cairo
school? Yes.
I would say
That
If-
sounds like a no already.
it is kind of a no.
Yeah.
They,
Sorry.
even in med school, I have my,
Can you let him fail first? And then
No,
you can
I mean,
hammer
he's
him?
a New Yorker, so I know, I mean, he's being very gracious for a
they,
New Yorker.
they
Yeah.
teach you, you provide a service, you get paid a fair service, but that's not business. That's
Right.
just an exchange. There's a lot of factors, and looking at Chris's office and getting in here today, it's about how you create your structure and how you create your team and how you educate. It's all of that for any business.
Right.
And that's a hard lesson to learn. I've had to relearn that several times.
So you had to teach yourself, or how did you go about
you
it?
go get mentors. You look at what
Mm.
people do. Just recently, I've redone a lot of things. Matter of fact, I'm announcing it on the radio today. I got confirmed from my accountant. We opened up a new corporation name because where I was corporately, it was formerly Adler Family Chiropractic PC, but it really wasn't hitting what I do in practice today. So I changed it to Adler Comprehensive Chiropractic.
Yeah.
And that just befits what I approach and how I approach. Family's great, but people don't realize if a family chiropractor also takes care of sports injuries or car accidents,
Yeah.
or we have that new instrument, the laser, which again doesn't fall under what you would think family. So I wanted to make a shift, and I know this, Chris, is that it's all about shifting and moving.
Yeah.
Something's changing, you go with it, and that's the fun part that I'm beginning to learn. And it only took me 32 years in business. Yay!
There it is. 32 years later,
I
I have an
think I-
overnight success.
I
No,
have it-
Doc's a great success, but let's go back to the beginning part. Alan is hitting on a big thread that we talk about in this business a lot, or on this podcast a lot, is we all go to school to learn something, and we think we're going to come out and we're going to learn everything, and we're going to come out, we're going to apply it, and we're going to go out there and kick butt. And for a lot of us, maybe still stuck in corporate America or out there trying to start your own business and make it happen, is you learn that school was not training you to run your own business. School was not there to build you your business mindset and the ability to pivot and the ability to persevere through issues and problem solving. It trained your brain, but now it's up to you. And I think that's where we talk about this. I wouldn't say the educational system is failing. You as an individual need to understand where you want to go and what you want to do and how you're going to do it. So you came out of chiropractic school and you said, I had mentors.
Mhm.
So who was the most influential mentor as you came out of school?
Well, I really had mentors more after that. When I got out of school, I got involved in a situation where I went to New York. I got my license. I started practicing, and there was this, unfortunately, a whole thing where they were getting young doctors to buy into practices, while the other doctor decided to, either have an authentic disability or not. And that was really not, no, it was not kosher. And so that was my getting out of practice.
We need to back that up
Okay.
because you're talking in tongues and we can need to talk straight talk.
Sure.
So you went back to New York.
Yeah. So I got involved, invited to.
You got involved. This old doctor said, David, let me take you in under my practice, under my wing.
Yeah. So by
And
25,
you start doing all the work.
Yeah. So by,
and I'm going to leave because, oh my God, I'm faking an injury, or I'm going to be on vacation. Uh-oh.
yeah. So
Really?
that happened. It was a bad time. And it took me a long time to really get over that because I knew better. My gut was telling me something different. And I got involved with this thing where my partner really was injured, but I paid 25% of the value of the practice, which was overvalued. Again, going back to business, really
yeah.
evaluating the business worth. And then it was also a time where insurance was changing very rapidly. It wasn't like you send a bill in and get paid. Now they're scrutinizing everything. So payments slow down. And then I was working full time. He wasn't, and I was earning 50%. So I was essentially running two households and somebody else's income. But I had a very good uncle who taught me a lot, and they were gracious enough to back me in the first loan I ever took out. And then I had a really good lawyer because I had to use his lawyer, and there was a way out. And that's how I got out of it. So my real business acumen started really when I moved here in, 94.
So 94, is that the seed money you had from your family to move back down here?
I
see back down here because we're back in Atlanta.
Sure.
Life University was in Marietta,
Sure.
suburb of Atlanta.
Whatever money after paying off the loans I had, $30,000, I came down here and started from scratch. August 94.
So you came down, found a place, hung your shingle out, and started a business. So how did you get your first client?
When my office was being built, I basically had business cards and I went literally door to door.
How about that? I'm a healing
Old
practitioner
school.
and he's a doctor. And he said, you know what, to start business. Oh, that's right. They didn't tell you this in business.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go old school and start going door to door. You're like, but I'm not selling copiers. I'm not selling freaking paper.
Yep.
I'm not selling BS stuff. I'm not trying to hook you in some pyramid scheme. I'm just trying to help you. I'm a doctor and I have to go door to door. That just tells you, and that's the gold nugget. I don't care what level you think you've achieved in education or wherever. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And sometimes it hurts, it's sore, it's hard, and you're pounding pavement. And that's what you got to do to get through it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've done that 3 or 4 more times because what I realized is I've been in my location. I just signed another extension for 3 years would make me 29 years. So 26 years in the same location. I've outlasted most of the businesses around me. So every so often I'll grab cards, some of my pamphlets and stuff, and just start knocking on doors because those businesses are brand new and they don't know me yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like starting all over, but I don't have to go there nervous. I've got my base. So now it's just.
Doc, would you
Meeting
consider
people.
yourself a salesman? Would you consider yourself an extrovert, or would you consider yourself an introvert and a healer?
I will answer that by saying I grew up morbidly shy. So I was told by my aunt, and I love her to death. She's been gone for a while. And she said, if you don't break your shell, people are going to poop all over you. And it just kind of opened up for me.
She's from New York. I bet she
Yeah.
didn't say poop.
I don't think she said poop
No, she
either,
didn't say
Doc.
poop. But I know we're free to say what we want, but
I
Yeah.
like what you did.
I don't know who's listening.
Did you just hear that, everybody? He said, I grew up morbidly shy, but I went door to door. You must have been horrified and more afraid of not having business than actually being told no.
Both.
Exactly. Let's go. It's hard. It's hard stuff. And that's hard. You had to overcome your shyness to get out there and build your business. So do you think it was your belief in what you did, or it's just like, oh my God, I got to put food on the table?
Really both. I mean, it really is. I know that I know that I know. That's a lecture I did for my colleagues about 6 months ago when I was invited to speak at school. It's you get to a point where you just know all the things that you know, and you know that you know it because you've been doing it long enough, and you don't have to prove it again. It's done. It's a rule. It's a given. But now it's fun. If I go meet people, I have no problem with it because now it's an opportunity to find out a little bit about them. And every single time I go out and pound the pavement, and I don't do it every day, but when I meet people, it's the conversation starts very quickly. Like they're like, oh my goodness, where are you located? Some people just have the conversation. Some people take action with it. And so you just keep on having fun. And when one thing I tell all my Peak students, the Peak is a program that I just haven't, you've met Josue, and Josue is actually, I'm going to be leaving my office early tomorrow to attend the Life University commencement. And, he was with me for 6 months, and they come in and they learn, and they have to learn how to take every single thing they learned in school, because it's a business, right? And they got to learn all that examination stuff that they did 2-3 hours worth every single patient, and whittle it down to 8 to 10 minutes and not miss anything, because now it's your butt if you get sued and miss something. It's not the school. And it's really, it takes time to figure it out. And that's where, your mojo starts developing. You feel confident, and then things will just start to come that way. And so I teach them, this is what you have to do. Watch. What I found, and I'll jump ahead just a little bit, because I think we're going to get to a bunch of different topics, but about back in 2007, I got rear-ended and blew 3 discs in my neck, and I was unable to use my left arm, and I had to learn new techniques. And I was in bad financial shape because I had no income. I couldn't work. And I worked my way out of it, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it made me a better healer. It made me more empathetic, and it made me teach people patience. It takes time to heal.
All right. So you opened it up. We're going to go down 2 paths. I want to go down the first path. If you're a solopreneur, I don't care what business you're in, you're counting on yourself. You're betting on yourself. And we love that, right? We all want to bet on ourselves. And Doc, you only work for somebody for a little bit who was a total sleazeball. But for those of us in corporate America who also work for those sleazeballs, or not even, maybe even the best guy ever.
Sure.
You want to bet on yourself, and you go out there and you say, man, but I'm going to be a solopreneur. I'm going to start my own IT shop, or I'm going to start X, or I'm going to start Y or Z. I don't care what business it is. When you're counting on yourself and you can't do it, guess what doesn't happen?
You don't make money.
You don't make any money, honey, and you in trouble.
Yep.
So you better be thinking about that aspect of what you're doing, because we're all invincible until we're not. And as we get older, and a couple of guys sitting around the room right now, a little bit older, all starting to look a little bit more at mortality. Some of us quicker than others. I'm not going to say who. Cheers.
And we won't point fingers at you either.
Right. Thank you. But so that happens, Doc, and that hits. Your first thought, was it your well-being in your life, or was it your family? And, oh my God, how am I going to take care of them?
During that time, it was just get me out of pain. And I was facing neurosurgeons saying, you need a multi-level fusion and you're going to be out 6, 8, 10 weeks. And I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. So I literally continued to work, and I would do my own rehab. I had a colleague take care of me. I had a PT take care of me. I had everything done. And I finally started getting some relief. And what it opened up was different pathways of things that people said you need surgery, 100%. The average person would have had it. And not that I'm above average, I just didn't really have much choice. So I had to figure it out. And subsequently, I've had many patients that we worked and got them better. And those I said, my experience tells me you need to see this person. And then I work with them. And over those years, I've developed great relationships where we do what's called co-management, where both the chiropractic and the medical, maybe even pain management get in. But ultimately, we're dealing with every aspect of it for the betterment of the patient, simply put.
So you're still a solo entrepreneur.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you plan for vacations? How do you plan for the curveball? And how do you think about exit strategy?
I'm not really sure what the word vacation means.
Shall I educate him?
Yeah, Chris, why don't you just give 6 or 10 examples of what you've done in the last couple of months?
It's the podcast. I want to keep it short. So So yeah, you can't. When you're a solopreneur, it's hard, right? Or
especially when you're
not hard, but definitely a planning effort.
Yeah, especially when you have to deliver the service. In your industry, with you manage it, and you may get out there and get dirty, but at the same time, you have other people who are talented at what they do, and you trust them, so you can still run the business while you're not here.
Yeah.
So
Alan, I can run the business when I'm not here.
Well,
Drinking 32 tequila shots
on our last podcast that maybe
and
that's
I think
not
Chris
true.
is going to get up right now and leave.
Yeah.
You
I'm going
never
to
know.
let this podcast keep rolling.
So it
and I'll let
hasn't
you guys
crossed
keep
your
talking.
mind that you think, I mean, you don't want to bring somebody else on?
No, I will eventually do that. Right
Okay.
now, I just enjoy the day-to-day with the patient. Oh, we heard that, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a little.
Is that too loud?
Well,
Were you opening a can of cat food there,
Well,
Chris?
well, I was letting you guys take control. That's me delegating.
okay.
All right,
Good job.
continue. All right. So,
feel so
Doc, you bringing
aptly
somebody
led.
on or not?
Eventually I will. Eventually I will. I just want to find that right person. And, but there's so much change that goes on in healthcare that it will happen. There's no doubt. If not, then at the very least, have somebody work in my office with their own practice and enable them to cover me while I'm out, and vice versa for them.
So that back to the business part of this, being a solopreneur definitely is a harder activity than building and growing a business. Once the building and growing the business is established, building and growing a business is painful and hard as well. It's hard to do what you do, and that is heal people the way you do, and then expect people to do the same thing when they come into your practice, and to grow, and then to delegate and allow them to heal people under your kind of shingle of 26 years, 29 years.
32.
I'm sorry, 32.
You forgot the 4 in New York.
Oh, the 4 in New
Yeah.
York under the sleazeball.
That wasn't a sleep ball. Just in case he happens to be listening to this. He just,
Once
I
again,
learned a couple of good things from him. Let's just leave it at
You
that.
brought a
Hey.
guest that looks better than the both of us.
He
That's
does
what-
too.
yeah.
But
I'm here. I
but-
could admit that's true.
but it's all right, Doc. Don't worry. I got people in New York. So if he's still around, he's not around for long.
Oh,
You just give me
wonderful.
one word.
But it's
one
a
word.
it's a real thing
I
to
just
talk
need
about.
one wink, and he's done. Huh?
Oh, dear Lord.
All right.
It-
I'm just talking. Just for a reason.
Isn't
Not
it?
for nothing.
It's a real thing to talk about for business. If you're a solopreneur and you're in a business that requires your healer, but it's through physical labor.
It's physical. It's
And just like
everything.
you know,
Sure.
Chris's business is a lot of physical labor. That's not something that you may be able to do into your twilight years. So you have to, when you're in business, and it sounds like you're a good businessman, you have to be thinking about, as I age in a physical business, how do I turn this into a business where it doesn't require my physical labor?
Getting back to my injury where I literally could not use my left arm.
Yeah.
So I developed different techniques and learned different techniques, and I use instrumentation to adjust now, not just my
Is that like a
hands.
laser pointer? You just, hey, you there, just do that.
Well, it sounds like a jackhammer, but but they're very effective tools, and I apply them with techniques that I developed not just from me, but I also help teach my students. So I put together over 32 years 20 different techniques, and when students come in, they're like, "Which one's that? We didn't learn that in school." I'm like, "You're not going to. How about that one? I'll teach you." And
Hmm.
so it came out of taking care of different people with different problems. You don't treat a former Army Ranger, which I've had the pleasure and honor to do, like I would a 96-year-old osteoporotic female,
Well, yeah, right.
or
Oh,
a
boy.
former NFL player,
Or Chris.
or a baby.
So you were obviously you were saying that I'm a former NFL player.
I
Thank
was-
you.
No, it's a 93-year-old female.
Damn
but
it.
Yeah.
He looks
he-
good for 93.
Yeah. For you know what? I do look good for a 93-year-old. Thank you, Doc. See, finally somebody
Not a
approached me.
good-looking female, but
Oh.
93.
But good for 93.
Yeah, fantastic.
I do look good for 93 or 104. So, Doc, let's go back to 2007 when that happened, because for many people, if you're a solopreneur, that was a major hurdle to overcome, not only personally, but professionally. And you also talked about how it changed the way you did your business. So talk about how that traumatic event changed the way you ran and did your business.
I can make it one word:
Go.
overhead. Just cut your overhead to the point where you didn't have to make X amount of money to make a living.
So what'd you cut?
Anything I could.
And
And I just got it down to bare necessities. And, I have, thank goodness, have nothing owed on the practice whatsoever. So anything I do is good. The laser we just added, that was probably the biggest purchase I've done in 20 years.
20 years. So we bought this laser, different technique, but the capital outlay was a big one for you. Yeah. And up until then, you had been running debt free. Did you take on debt to do that, or did you save it up and then pay it off?
Took it on, but the way it's going in the service I'm able to provide and the benefits I'm able to give the patients, most practitioners who purchase this equipment have it paid off within a year. So that's one of my goals.
So there's a gold nugget right there. Sometimes a lot of people say, you know what, if I don't have the cash, I ain't doing it, because that's how I run my business, Chris, and that's how I roll. I'm like, okay, good for you. But I think, again, coming from the financial world that I was in, sometimes there's good debt, and this is a good debt move.
Absolutely.
Especially when interest rates were down. We won't get into where we are now, but at the point we are, and if somebody's willing to give you the money for a little bit, use other people's money so you can go do what you need to do and you can pay it off in a short amount of time. Well, I'm not advocating taking on loads of debt, because when you have a big debt service, to use a corporate term, it's hard to overcome and hard to make money. But when you take on good debt, there's a way to grow your business and do it. And that's the thing that you got to make a decision and do.
How often do you raise rates?
That's a great question. I will tell you, one of my rules is every time I get the joint or the $20 chiropractic office, they open up.
Yeah, that's right. $20.
I generally raise my rates. And I'll tell you why. Because I feel I don't like that model at all. I don't think we should be giving our services away.
Right.
I think we should always make it affordable for people who need it. And I do. We have hardship programs within the office. I will never turn a person away because of money, but they have to have a certain need and they have to follow along. Otherwise, it's not beneficial for me. I want to help them.
And the reason why I asked that question is on our last podcast, we were talking about the, pending recession and inflation, and the fact that a new customer doesn't know what your rates were, a month ago. But in your case, you probably have more, long-term customers that's a tough thing to talk to them about, isn't it?
It is, but like, for example, I'm a non-insurance practice. We don't take any insurance. We have our normal fee structure. And if we have somebody who is in an accident or that's a third party, a lien or something like that, we do that. And we will help Medicare patients, but even that's capped by the government. So I have fee structures there that are forced upon me. But we have a program that I know Chris uses. It's called PCD. It stands for Preferred Chiropractic Doctor. And the patient joins as an individual or family, and they get access to my reduced fee. In the United States, we can't have dual fees. You have one fee system and that's it. Ironically, if you look at the hospitals, and they are struggling because the reimbursement rates are down and their prices are up, they have cash fees for everything. And every time I ask the question, how do you have both fees without they don't answer me. So I don't know what's going on. Not my issue.
So don't tell my chiropractor this, but I don't care if he did, because I feel so much better after going under his care as a guy who had chronic back problems for a long time, and now going on close to 3 years of feeling the way I felt. It's going to be hard to say no. So if he did it, but he won't, not to this guy.
Because you're kind of a big deal.
I am a big deal. And he knows.
Have you told him that?
I did.
Okay.
And I could take care of that problem.
Tells me every
that
time.
Guy, you know what I'm saying? But I do tell him every time I walk in there. But it's a great point, because he does offer this program that I think makes a lot of sense. And it actually is a value bundle. And here's another nugget I will talk about. In any business, he offers a preferred chiropractic discount program. He explained it to me, and he says, look, you can prepay for the year. And so once a year, or once
or packages.
Yeah, I do the package deal.
Right.
So one time I make that very painful financial decision to go, okay, here's the number. But I don't think about it for the next 6 months or 12 months or whatever. And he says, hey, you're down again. Do you want to keep going? I don't know, Doc. I still feel good. Yeah. So I think that's a great way to bundle services for anybody in any business. If you think about the way you can bundle your value to anybody, you can prove to them that what you're providing to them as a service is of value, and I can get you once, or I can get you in a recurring payment system. That's a great way to go. And that's a great way for you to help grow your business, whether it be IT or chiropractic or home service or anything you're doing.
But that only works in certain businesses. So the way I approach my chiropractic practice is I help people through what's called crisis care. Then we have a transitional segment of it where we have critical transition, where we're changing and teaching the patient how to stay healthy, how to change habits, how to change their ergonomics, how to look at their monitor, whatever it may be. And then we go on to a lifestyle care, or what some people call wellness, periodic adjustments to do it. I always tell people, my dentist had a sign that says, you don't have to floss or brush all your teeth, ... just the ones you want to keep. So that's great. But what about the spine? We talk about oral hygiene. We get it. We all get it. We've been taught by the dentist in second grade with the massive mouth and the 6-foot toothbrush what to do, but no one ever talked about spinal hygiene. Yeah. And in the medical field, my colleagues are brilliant surgeons and brilliant doctors, but they care little about the maintenance of it. They want to deal with the acute trauma or
Just solve the immediate problem.
Yeah. And they do a good job at it when it's needed.
What advice do you give people on mattresses?
Oh my God. The number one question I hear, he's taken over. You can leave now.
I ask good questions. Go ahead and give me the finger again, Chris. Double fingers. Okay.
This is what we call C7 dermatome. Just so you know. The mattress pillow question happens at least a dozen more times a week. And the answer to that is, I don't know. Because the mattresses have changed from really good quality that lasts 20, 30 years to a mattress that is designed to last 5 to 6 years. The foams and polyurethanes and everything else is completely different. And so it's very difficult to know. I'd love to see what that says.
It says bad question.
Okay.
It was a great
It
question.
was a great question. So the answer to the question is,
So jealous. You're a child.
I don't wear jealous well.
I don't have an answer because there is no one mattress. I will tell you, it's an expensive one. I think is probably one of the better models is the Select Comfort. Not that I'm getting any kickback for saying that, but it is a mattress that has air baffles and that can adjust. And I don't know the longevity of them, and I've heard good and bad, but from a logical standpoint, it allows you to have different types of mattresses in one, and maybe that's the best thing for you.
Okay,
Pillows?
fine. I just wrote that down. Damn it, Alan. Good question. Shit.
And there are a lot of different brands of the air baffle
Yeah.
Air baffle thing?
mattresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I stay out of that arena completely. I
Yeah.
just say, go try it. And it really, unfortunately, because what you find in the store, if you go lay down in Mattress Firm, whatever,
They all feel good.
they all feel good because they're
Yeah.
broken in. And then your mattress arrives at your house and it's like a
Oh.
rock.
We just had the same thing happen. So we move our son to Athens, Georgia, and we buy a mattress and we do the whole thing. We lay on 1, 2, 3. My wife, my son, me going around, and then boom, we find one, and we're like, okay, this is the one. We bring it back. He lays down, and it only like a mother can do. How's it feel, Austin? And he says, it's a little tight. She goes, that's it. We're taking it back. And it was about to just downpour. And I'm like, screw that. I said, let's break that mother in. I said, I'm jumping on the thing. She goes, you are not doing that. And so next thing I know, I had to put the plastic back on that stupid thing, put it back in my truck and drive it back, get the other one to bring it over to him. And then he goes, yeah, Mom, it's a little bit better. She goes, oh, we're taking that back. I'm like, nope, that's where, no, I'm done. No, that plastic's gone. It's like, no, I'm beating that mother in.
So did you get the third mattress delivered?
We did.
Okay.
It is. You're right. Mattress shopping. That's a funny one.
It's very tough. And my daughter's bed is literally, I'm going to have to replace it next week. It's like 4 years old, maybe a little bit older. It's not good. They don't hold up like they used
And
to.
they're so expensive.
No, they're designed. If you look at it, whether it be, and you're in the industry, air
Planned
conditioning,
obsolescence.
exactly. The refrigerators, whatever, they do not last. It's not designed to do that anymore.
Let's transition if you'd let me. Man,
Do you have a good question?
I do.
It is all about Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good question, but we'll
It's
see.
not gonna be. Let's
is in
let's
Chris's
transition
mind.
to something I think is really cool at what Doc does. He mentioned his current student, but one of the things he has done is he has made it a big point to give back to his university and back to younger people that are coming out into chiropractic to help them in business. We didn't really touch on that. He talks about, well, I'm telling him about the right techniques. What he said was, I took 3 hours of your clinical learning. He said, look, to make a business happen, you have to have 8 minutes. How long have you been a mentor to chiropractors coming out of school?
Did
Well-
you say 8 minutes?
He did, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was listening, Alan.
All right.
And in a,
I wrote
the
it
thing
down.
Good
is,
job, Chris.
when you're learning, you have to do all the tests again and again to understand what normal is and what abnormal is and practice the procedure. When you're
So Chris would be abnormal in this
Exactly.
example.
And here's
exam was-
abnormal.
his exam was very long. I don't generally do neuropsych, but in his case, I had to.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wrote a paper. It was widely read.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be a dissertation.
It's a thick book
Yeah.
of how abnormal this dude is. All right. So back to Doc helping young people.
There's two things I do with Life University. One is a life force. Life force is, there's 1,000 chiropractors that have agreed to assist the university in making sure students have the opportunity to get a chiropractic education, and we refer them. And we have what's called Life Leadership Weekend, where students come out from everywhere, and they have an immersion weekend, and they get to find out about the university. They get a tour of Atlanta. They get to tour the campus. They're around the chancellors, the president, vice president of the schools, the clinic directors, the deans, and they immerse them into the environment. And it really is an amazing environment. So that's Life Force. And so we make it a commitment to be there. We make it a commitment to refer at least 5 students. That's a lot of students if each doctor of 1,000 refers 5 students that become chiropractors. The other is the PEAK, which, forgive me, I don't know the acronym, but I'm extension faculty. I sign in to make an agreement that I teach along the guidelines of what they have to learn. We have the CCE, which is a chiropractic educational division. And it's fun. They get to learn. They have tons of aha moments, and it's not in the room that they're in school. Now they're in an office. Now they're seeing real interaction. Now they're seeing real cases. People who have a lot of, they got fired or they got sick or they got a diagnosis that's horrific. And how do you handle that? You don't see that. When medical doctors finish their schooling, they have their residency. They see a lot of that. They don't see all of it, but they see a lot of it. Their training is extensive. In chiropractic college, our clinical stuff is done while we're in school. And then all of a sudden we leave the bubble, and then we're out in the world. And now we have to deal with everything that we may or may not have experienced. So the more you do, the more you see, the more you're exposed to, the better off you are for yourself and the patient.
It's got to be super rewarding when you see somebody that just, comes in on their hands and knees like Chris probably did. And then just based on your healing, completely changes their life.
I am literally in awe and blown away, not by me, which Chris may think I am, but I'm not, but by the principle of what we have been taught. The body is self-healing, self-regulating. It just needs no interference. Yes, there are times for medical things to be done in emergencies, but even when you have surgery or get an injection or you take an antibiotic, at the end of the day, the only thing that's doing the healing is your body, period. End of discussion, nothing else. So you can have the best surgeon take out a tumor. You can have chemotherapy. And guess what? Your body does the healing. So in the chiropractic philosophy, the science behind what we do is removing interference between brain and body. The body already knows what to
You
do.
just got to get out of your own way.
Yeah, I did a lecture in front of my peers, and that's kind of probably the scariest, because these are people who have lots of experience.
As an admitted introvert.
Yeah, exactly. And my first slide was a slide of a sperm and a GPS. And the title was, does a sperm need a GPS? In other words, does it need direction, or does it know exactly what to do when it enters the canal and find the egg, right? So as soon as that happens and fertilization occurs, the process is on its own. Yet we are so afraid that the body can't do its own healing when it's out. Doesn't make sense.
So what he's really saying is, brown chicken, brown cow, give me my porn stash.
How are we going to transition? How are we going to
Watch
transition?
this, Alan, because we just got done talking about sperms going up canals, and I said brown chicken, brown cow. And with that, we say, hey, Doc, so you play a trumpet, which is clearly a phallic symbol. So tell me, when you put that thing up to your lips, what are we going to play, and what do you want to plug?
Well, we are having a concert July 3rd at Bullock Hall in Roswell. The Roswell Pops Band is playing a selection of different marches. It's an evening concert. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And this piece that I'm happily going to be playing a little solo from is called Themes Like Old Times. You like puns, right? And this is a bunch of different songs. This one is Peg, Oh My Heart, which is probably gonna take him down a really bad place just by the words. That he spoke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Here we go, big boys. You know what? On this podcast, you get a little bit of everything. On this one today, let's get some trumpet playing. Hit it, Doc.
We'll give you about 10 measures.
Fantastic.
Fantastic,
Oh,
Doc.
thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, brother. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing your passion with us. A lot of fun. So we'll be talking about this for a minute. Doc, that was amazing. And all I can keep thinking about right now is sperm canal. So there we go. On that note, everybody in the business world,
Can we, in your terms, can we reframe that?
should we reframe that?
Yeah, a little bit, because we're talking about the body and not, anyway, let's move
Oh.
on. Let's just move
Oh,
on.
Chris
that-
just immediately goes to the gutter, Doc. You
Yeah.
should know that.
Yeah, I think the human body is amazing. But Doc talked
Especially,
about
especially certain parts.
yes, especially.
In his case, the liver.
You know what? I think we just crossed over to another one of the most popular podcasts ever is talking about sex. Well, we don't do that here. So we're talking about business and we're back to business. Let's kind of start wrapping this sucker up a little bit. Doc, obviously trumpet playing, photography. Tell us how that release, that fun, the fun you have helps you in your business or in your day-to-day or just makes life better.
It reconnects me to things I love. So I was up a few weeks ago in North Carolina. Was it Raven Bald in North Carolina? And my buddy and I went up to shoot the Milky Way. And we went up the mountain, 1.7 miles, 700 feet of incline. And we got up there. And then we were shooting. And I got one set of pictures, but the Milky Way was gone because the sky turned black. And it was an awe just to be up and see this beautiful venue. You could see Georgia and Tennessee and all that. And then we had to go down the mountain
In the dark.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I just bought a 30,000 lumen light and I went down the mountain. I was petrified. We didn't say a word. We were just listening for animals moving around us. And that was scary. But the point is,
what made you the most scared?
being either a snake or seeing that little red eye reflex that animals do when you hit their eyes with lights. And
So is animals eating you,
well,
not being the biggest apex predator on the planet?
I was a lot slower than my friend, so I would have been the victim.
You can take the New Yorker out of New York,
Right? If he was in New York,
he's still
he
afraid
would
of
walk.
animals.
He would walk through downtown New York City at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, you want some of that? Huh? You want some of this? Hey, you want to mess with it? But on the mountain coming down, he's scared that a little snake's gonna bite him. All right, I'm joking because I would do the same thing. I'd be like, yeah. Is there a helicopter option? Is there a Sherpa who's gonna come take me and pull me down?
This
Where's
didn't
the
happen
Waldorf?
in Cabo.
Where's the Waldorf Astoria when you need him?
But it's a reconnection. And to me, it's whether I'm working on a patient and connecting with them and helping them or just taking pictures. It's or playing my horn. It's just getting down to the basic fun.
So the only line I just heard was, I love to toot my own horn. No, I'm just kidding. I love my doc. Are you kidding me? I love going over there. He has been more than just a physical healer. He has been great to just get to know business wise, personal wise. He's helped me through a lot of struggles that I've actually talked about here, especially with my son. He's the only one I open up with and can truly help me with some of the struggles my son's going through. And it's fine. It's great to find people like that. So that's why I joked in the beginning about, hey, would you come on a podcast? He said, no. I'm like, no. He said, absolutely. I'd love to come on there and talk with you guys. So we've loved having you here, Doc. So before we get into the 3 questions we ask everybody, is there anything you want to plug? Let's go ahead and talk about a couple things you've been doing.
Specifically, you
Well,
lost me.
Whatever you want.
Well, like I already plugged the Roswell concert July 3rd. So
How
we don't
about,
have
how
to do
about your
that.
business?
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
meant.
yeah, that little
the
thing,
thing
yeah.
that makes you money.
Well, okay. So, boy, that one I missed. As an entrepreneur, how did I lose? I'm
Back to life
I'm-
practice. I think, you know what? I'd love to come teach the life chiropractors about business. I said, I think we got a class we can probably teach.
you know what? I will connect you with that because one of
All
my
right.
good colleagues teaches a business class and she takes it like down to debit, credit, profit, loss,
Beautiful.
P&L. We get these classes, but no one, when you get a class, you take it to pass. When you have a doc comes out and teach you, you listen because they've been through it.
Yeah.
What to look out for. What is, what do you want to spend your money on? What is an investment or an expense?
Right.
Laser in my case was a very good investment. Not only was it good from a business perspective, but my goodness, it opened up a completely different avenue. I'll give you an example. I had a patient who was on vacation with his family. He fell, grabbed the handle, and on the way down, ruptured his bursa with his shoulder and partially tore his rotator cuff. This guy's virtually a scratch golfer and he couldn't move his arm. And he owns his own business in Roswell. And to make a long story short, and you know him, Matt.
Oh yeah.
Are you saying a laser could make my golf game better?
No, yes and no. How's
Okay.
that? I'll never give you an affirmative on that. There's a reason why somebody
Honestly, I
stopped
play
you.
with this guy and I don't know if you're that guy. I
Might
don't care
take-
how many lasers.
It's going to
he
take
puts
2
on your
lasers.
ass. That's going to be a lot of laser.
Okay.
That's a lot of laser therapy, if you know what I mean, with my best Austin Powers.
I don't know how to answer that one. Anyway, when people ask me if I play golf, I'll say my handicap's my backswing. So,
Right.
it's all relative. So, you have somebody like that and we help him and he gets better and turns everything around in 7 weeks. It's incredibly rewarding. And so that's
So cool.
So I love where I'm at in my practice. I had the foresight to think that Sandy Springs 26 years ago, that Roswell was going to be the moving up. And I almost hit that. I think it's further north now, but that's how it works. And so I've been able to be in that area and develop a practice and become part of a community. And I play in a band in that community. And so to me, I don't call it work. You call it work, you call it a job. It's fun. I love what I do. I'm blessed that I get to do it. And I get up every day. There are days I'm tired, but my favorite question is like, how many hours do you work a week? And people try to calculate, oh, you only see this much. Your office hours are only that much. You're only working like 27, 30 hours a week. I'm like, you're working 7 days a week if you're on your own business, if you're doing it
Yeah,
right.
brother. All day long. I don't care how many vacations I take, which I will be taking a lot more this year.
Maybe you should take a couple more, Chris.
I should. I deserve it. But back to Doc. He won't plug himself, so I'll plug it.
No.
Adler Family Chiropractic, changing it to Adler.
Comprehensive chiropractic.
Yep. Doing a great job here. But if you want to hook up with him and find out a little bit more, if you're in the chiropractic business or you want some help or find out how to run a great business in that field, how could they find you, Doc?
My website's the best because it has everything. It's www.adlerchiro.com. And if you hit there, you'll not only see all the information about my practice and services that we provide, but you can connect with me via email and or telephone. And I'm always happy to help out, especially any of my colleagues.
If you're listening to the podcast and you got a chance to write that down, do it. Call the guy, find out about him. Let me give you a couple of gold nuggets about what I know about Doc. Is that he doesn't think about doing it for the money every single day. He does it because he's truly there to help you. And you know what? Doing that each and every day will fund that paycheck at the end. You got to find something you love. You find something you're passionate about, and you don't work another day in your life. All right. Now that one, as I've told you guys before, not necessarily the truth. You're still going to work because we still have to persevere. We heard about overcoming a big problem, right? Getting hit in 2007 and basically busting his back. I mean, seriously, bro, he busted his back and he comes back and does this stuff. So you got to know what you're doing. You gotta love what you're doing. You got to stick to it. You got to keep going doing that. Those are the gold nuggets that I took away. I love this guy. This guy is a great person, great family man, and a great businessman in that order. And that's the way you got to go. And that's the way you got to live your life. But Doc, I'm not going to let you leave without asking these 3 questions.
I just want to say one thing more. That was a real big tool to me when I was getting in school. And that was Dr. Sid Williams. And he described owning your business and running a business like a twin engine boat. If you got one engine going too fast, you go in circles. If you have the other engine running too fast, you go the other direction. You got to have them both spinning at the same time. So there's a healing portion, there's a business portion, and you keep on going in one direction. And that metaphor, whenever I get struggled or I think about something, I'm like, okay, let's just get back to basics. So ask your questions and I'll try my best.
Here we go. All right, Doc's on the hot spot. Here we go. Number one question: what is the favorite feature of your home?
My bathroom in the master bedroom.
What do you do in your master bath?
Well,
Brown
I-
sugar bro cow.
what?
Do you play your
I'll
trumpet?
send you. I actually do. It's great acoustics in there.
Me too.
But I
Different trumpet.
I stripped, he toots his own horn. I stripped my bathroom down to the studs and rebuilt it. And I get to take a shower in what looks like a bathroom out of a fancy hotel. And I
Doc, did you get any advice on building that bathroom by any chance?
had outstanding advice.
Yes, you did.
and I still wanted to do it on my own despite his warnings.
And I did give him advice and I gave him a lot of warnings, but I've seen the output. It's good. Did a great job. All right.
I find that very cathartic, that kind of work.
Yeah, you
I'm
did a great
praised.
job. Not gonna lie, you did good. I told him I was hiring actually after I saw it. I'm like, you know what? If this chiropractic gig after 32 years isn't working, actually I called
He
it
could be
29.
number 13.
He could be. All right. Number two, when you're out in the world, what is one of your biggest customer service pet peeves?
In general, I don't like smoke and mirrors. Just shoot me straight. So I don't want to hear you're going to give me 75% off when you jack the price up 95%. I want to be treated, I want to get a good quality. I have no problem paying for something good, but I don't like wasting my time. So if you're going to give, just straight up, I like straight up.
New Yorker.
You right? That's what
Yeah.
I said too. Although in this world today with the internet and all the information in front of you, if you're a car salesman today and you go, well, MSRP is 75,000, but I'll give it to you today for 35,000. The guy's going to go, well, that's funny because I was just online and they said it's 34.5. Yeah, I can match that. Don't pull that game, right?
Yeah.
Be authentic.
That's it.
Charge what you can, prove your value, and then you can get what you want.
Sure.
All right. Great point on that one. All right. Number three, give us a DIY nightmare or failure. And it wasn't the bathroom, by the way. So I'll kill that one early.
DIY. My wife was baking a cake and she has I'm going to plug her baking business. That's amazing. www.ladidadesserts.com.
Nice.
I can't even spell it. It's good. Look it up on Google.
La-di-da.
La-di-da Desserts.
Make sure you tell your wife that you plugged her.
Greatest cheesecake you'll ever have. Anyway, she was baking a cake and some former batter fell onto the bottom and that batter caught on fire. And I ran into the kitchen seeing flames coming out of my oven. The first thing I could think of is, well, I got to put water on it, but I got to kill the circuit. So I killed the circuit, poured a bucket of water in my oven, and I had to pull the oven out because I was never turning that on again. And then when I got a new oven, I realized the old ovens were smaller and my gas line was in the way. So I had to move the gas line. And this is where you don't mess around, but I tried too. So I took everything apart. I made a hole in the wall. I got all the pieces, and then I couldn't really ensure myself that I tied up the gas line tight enough to turn it on. So we had no gas for 2 days. And my good friend, patient of mine is a contractor. And he said, okay, I'll come out. And he said, you're about 1.5 turns too loose. So had I turned the gas on, it would have leaked. And so, yeah, I don't mess with gas, and I don't mess with anything more than maybe changing a socket or a switch. I leave that to the pros.
Leave that to the pros. We've talked about this many times before. If you can't do it yourself, you oftentimes think you can. Leave plumbing, electric, leave the gas to the pros because it will help you and save you so much time and pain in the future. But that's not the biggest point of what we had. Doc, loved having you come in here.
Thank
Loved
you.
having you come on the show with us. If you've liked what you've heard today, to go out there and tell your friends, man, follow, rate, review the Small Business Safari. We are rocking it. It's gritty. It's irreverent. We are explicit.
You are.
Oh, whoops. When I meant we, I meant me. Let's bring it, everybody. This is Chris Lalamia, Alan Wyatt, and we will see you next time. Keep going up that mountaintop of success. Let's go make it happen, and let's go find that achievement that we all need. Cheers.
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 Thanks, Doc.
Thank you.